What's up guys, it's your Motivational Gamer and welcome to another video. So before we get started, I want to talk about my bling here. My daughter and I, we got into a debate because I didn't know the primary colors, right? I was like, yeah, the red, green, and blue, right? She's like, no Dad, the colors are red, yellow, and blue. I'm like, okay, right? So she was right, of course. So she gives me this necklace and she says, Dad, you need to wear this necklace until you die. I was like, why? She's like, so you never forget what the primary colors are. So, if you guys are wondering why I have this on, you guys will see this on from now on in my videos. But yeah, so let's get to business. So today, I wanted to talk about a topic that's very, very important to a lot of players out there. And that is the Fusion Hexagram. Why is the Fusion Hexagram important? Because some of the best units that you're going to be using in the game are now found in this hexagram. Well, I guess not now, but they've always been there. Except for Veramos, he was, the most recent addition. But these monsters particularly can help you quite a bit in progression. In a weird way, most of the monsters that you can fuse in some way, shape, or form, or gather for fusion material can be used, basically in a lot of your team comps. But in order to clear this up, to simplify what monsters you guys should be focusing on to make your progression the most fast and efficient, we're going to talk about 3 specific monsters. Are the rest of these monsters in this box useful? Yes. Can they be useful? Yes. Can they be great? Yes. Can you use them everywhere? Yes. For instance, Aura now on her 3rd skill decreases attack speed, attack power, and defense with a with a relatively low cooldown. That increases her ability to deal a lot of damage, coupled with a leadership skill that increases the attack power of all win units. The Fire Succubus now transfers 2 harmful effects back to the enemy, which is awesome, and the damage gets higher as the enemy's HP gets lower, which is crazy. She also has an AoE HP recovery block. Makeem, now even more powerful after they updated her again, comes with a very high base attack at 5-star, which is 581, which is higher than a lot of attackers in the game. And she also has an AoE glancing hit, freezes on crit, and she revives or puts soul protection on herself, which basically automatically revives herself if she dies. Jojo, AoE continuous damage. Water Ninja Susano, he has a nice little passive that decreases his chance to receive critical hits and increases his resistance by 50% passively. Very Sturdy Ninja has a very, very, very high base attack at 6-star. His base attack is the same as Zeros, the coveted fire dragon, just to give you guys an idea. Susano can put up some huge numbers, okay? Argon, same thing. Argon, the Wind Vampire, huge numbers. Huge numbers. But of course, his is going to be situational. Think of them as the single target version of Amir, the Wind of Freet. Now, with all these choices, what do? It's really, really easy to get caught up in the mix, especially when you're trying to focus on specific things to do. Now, typically for beginning to intermediate players, for advanced players and, players that have already, completed Giant Speed 10, completed Dragon Speed 10, and are just looking for something to diversify their team. There are a lot of these units that can be very effective for a player at that stage of the game. But for beginning to intermediate players, guys, there are really only 3 monsters that you guys need to complete your progression from beginning of the game to Dragon Speed 10 Auto. And those units specifically are Beretta, these are in order, Beretta first, Veramos, okay, and then Sigmaris. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys why. You'll hear a lot of people saying, fuse Veramos first, which is fine and dandy. Veramos is one of the harder fusions. Understand that fusing a 5-star, okay, takes 4 5-star awakened monsters. As a beginning player in the game, 4 5-star awakened 4-star, natural 4-star monsters are very tough, is very tough to do. Taking into consideration the amount of essences you're going to have to gather, the amount of work that you're going to have to do, I mean, essentially that's, 4, 8, 12, 16 4-star maxes you have to make. And then on top of that, after you make those 16 4-star maxes, you have to max out 5 stars, which is even more tedious, okay? Now, the reason why I say it's tedious, are you going to do it anyway? Of course. But the problem is when you're a beginning to intermediate player, it's taking way too much of your time that can be spent developing your dungeon team, your giants team, your dragons team, etc., helping you move to the next level. See what I'm saying? So at this point in the game, before you even think about Veramos, Beretta should come into play first. Main reason why I choose Beretta first is because of his third skill. Okay, summons the Phoenix to breathe fire on all enemies and inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns. Upon awakening, that increases to 2 continuous damage effects. Second skill is Turbulence, which compresses the air around the enemy, causing turbulence, which sets their attack bar to 0. On top of that, he has an attack speed lead, so it increases the speed of all your monsters. And since we're going to be building Beretta as a speed HP defense type or speed HP accuracy type, we really don't care about his first skill. Even though he is an attack type monster, we're building him as a support to utilize the continuous damage. So what does continuous damage mean to you? Well, continuous damage means that even if he has mediocre runes, as long as he has a relatively high base HP pool, he's going to be able to deal 5 to 10% of the enemy's max HP every time he's able to use Turbulence and it lands, which makes it very easy for you, as a beginner or intermediate player to advance through the game. And what I mean by advance through the game is when you guys are trying to get over that giant speed 6 hump, that giant speed 7 hump, Beretta's the guy you put in front with a bunch of HP that fixes it for the rest of your team. Him combined with nice supports and whatever unit you want to put in the middle will equal your success. He also allows you to get into TOA effectively. He is the king of TOA, and I can't stress this enough. Beretta is the king of TOA. Beretta is going to allow you to get into TOA initially and do the things that you need to do to start advancing slowly through the floors and get the bonuses that you guys desire. So that's why I recommend Beretta. Beretta is relatively easy to fuse. The only trouble unit, of course, is the Fire Marshal Cat, which is here. So if you get the Fire Marshal Cat at any point in your progression after you start the game, please make sure that you put May in the box. The rest of them you can attain: Fire Serpent, the Water Magical Archer, and the Salamander are all really easy to get. The Serpent and the Archer you can get through secret dungeons. And the Salamander you can get through random unknown scrolls. He's super easy to get. But that's what you guys are going to do. So Beretta first. Beretta's going to help you through Giants B8. B6 to B8. Potentially even B9 if you guys decide to do Giants B9. And he will basically take your leadership slot until you're ready to fuse Veramos. Okay? Once you're ready to fuse Veramos, because Veramos is going to become your immediate priority after Beretta is acquired, Veramos will fill in. He'll help you finish your Giants B10 team, because Veramos is just awesome, guys. After doing a test, or still testing, on my current account, I'm doing a no Veramos challenge. I did this specifically so I can attain the other viewpoints, so I can see what life is like when you don't have Veramos, how much harder it is. So for players who don't have Veramos or are missing the coveted Fire Beast Archer, the Fire Beast Hunter, and the Fire Marshal Cat or Wind Lizardman, so I can help those players still advance regardless of whether they have Veramos or not. So that was the purpose of this challenge. So that challenge is indefinite. I can't use Veramos. I can't use a speed lead in terms of dungeons, and I have to do it with awkward units, right? So that's typically the challenge. And what I've learned is that, because on my old main account, I had Veramos, I had Vertihill, I had all that jazz, and I took for granted how valuable Veramos is, guys. So Veramos, what his passive is that he removes a weakening effect except inability effect. So he removes the negative effect, anything except for freeze and stun, okay, on all allies with each turn, and recovers 3% of the HP for each weakening effect removed. Forget the HP recovery part. Let's talk about removing the negative effects. So those continuous damage effects, those defense break effects that your team receives, every time Veramos gets a turn, one of them is coming off. Now, that makes it to a point where if Veramos is fast enough, he will keep your team clean, no matter what. So, with that being said, through testing, it typically takes a unit over 200 speed on Violent, or 2 units of the same type with Cleanse to basically fulfill the role that Veramos does. So Veramos will make your guys' life super easy, and this is why he is on the priority list. Beretta to ease you guys into TOA to start getting those extra crystals and all that good jazz to kind of pop you through Giants B8 and B9. And Veramos will then come in to finish off the Giants B10 and transition you guys right into Dragons. So with a successful Giants B10 team, guys, with Veramos included, that will allow you to jump right to Dragons B8 and your transition is smooth, okay? Now, if you guys, by this point in the game, have not received, a strong water damage unit that you guys wanted to use or build for Dragons B10, then Sigmar, although I've listed him in the priority list, he is definitely optional. Sigmaris is one of those units that are great. Attack power decrease on, skill 3, and it deals damage based on the enemy's HP. So you can put up some really big numbers with Sigmaris. Sigmaris is one of the more popular water units in the game for Dragons, or for any dungeon, for TOA, for all that good jazz. Now, again, Sigmar is optional. Is he required? No. But if you guys are doing like farmable, fusible comps and things like that, Sigmar is going to be absolutely invaluable to your box. With, him being a squishy unit, he does have a leadership ability of increasing the HP of your party by 44%, which makes him very good to have in your box. So that's typically it, guys. As you guys move through the game, just to rehash everything and give you guys exactly what I said in a shorter format, long story short, Beretta to get you guys through B6 to B9 Giants, Veramos to get you to B10 Giants and Dragons B8, and then of course all the way to Dragons B10. Once you arrive in Dragons B10, Sigmar will come into play if you decide to choose them, or if you have not decided on a water damage unit yet. That's who will take that slot, or if you just want it for Nat 5, bragging rights. That's where Sigmar will come in, and then you'll finish off Dragons B10. So once you get to that point, after you fuse all the units, you can take a second look at the rest of these units. Specifically, McKean is great for TOA, JoJo's great for TOA. Susano is multi-purpose because of his passive. Argon can be used in Giants B10. You can use the Fire Succubus for a multitude of things. Trouble Floors with HP recovery block issues. You can use her in situations where a lot of negative effects are present. And you can also use Orang as a wind leader. If you guys are running wind teams, you can use her as a wind farmer, even though she's a single target, and I recommend other units. But there's quite a few situations that you can use her. The Wind Vault, guys, is probably my least favorite fusion among these monsters. However, with insane runes, meaning like 220% crit damage plus, and the right pairing, specifically like the Water Horus or Chloe or Neil, in the right circumstances, the Wind Valkyrie can be effective. Just understand that the requirements that you're going to need to make her effective are very steep. So make sure you have all of those pieces in place before you decide to fuse her. Otherwise, you'll run into a situation where she's not going to be performing as well as you thought. Specifically because in order for her to be effective on, her ignore defense, invincibility needs to be present. Not her own invincibility, because it's quite frankly not enough for her to be effective, but some other unit in the party that can give invincibility effects to either the entire party or to her specifically, in order for you to give yourself more opportunities to maximize in combat. But that's pretty much it, guys, today. That's all I wanted to cover. I just wanted to clear up the fusion hexagram, guys, so to give you guys a little bit more of a clear direction to help you guys move forward in the game, so you guys can get all of the golden glory that you guys aspire to achieve. So thank you guys so much again for tuning in to this fusion hexagram guide. It's TMG, and we will see you guys next video. Peace.